So Charlie Cook was shot yesterday at a school in Utah by obviously a white assailant because there are three words that let me know instantly. I can tell you who it is because I can tell you who it ain't. And there are three words that let me instantly know it wasn't a black guy because the three words are Utah and at large. So how is it that Charlie Cook wasn't shot in a black city, in a black district, at an HBCU? Why is it that HBCUs are under attack? And I heard a comedian, I saw a comedian who I love and respect say, well, people stalking stuff on.
I'm going to stop him real quick. And I know we briefly talked about this though, but no HBCU, I heard it was just threats, hoax threats, but no HBCU had any type of violence done to them, as well as we don't know who made those threats. I mean, once upon a time, we heard someone say, hey, I was attacked by these two white guys and dragged, and it turned out to be a hoax, Jesse Juicy Smollett. Like, yeah, we've I'm not saying that someone, who maybe somebody did call in who was not black though, but we've seen stuff like this. And for it to take fire for the HBCU, because it wasn't just DL Hughley. I saw a whole bunch of other people just peddling this around, like, what this got to do with us? And it's funny for when black people say what this got to do with us, but yet half of the videos that I've seen about people celebrating the shooting of Charlie Kirk have been white liberals and then a lot of black people. So you're saying what's it got to do with y'all, but yet y'all are still held doing these TikTok challenges and getting fired.
So my timeline, I have a lot of people on my timeline, right? Um, most of them, most of the melanated folks, black folks, didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was till everybody else started talking about him.
Right.
So that tells me, and you kind of hit the nail on the head with this. This is another example. Hold on, let me. What Brando would he say? Yeah, the obsession that black people have with their race. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's to
racial
our it's
idolatry.
to our own detriment. And I'm gonna play a quick video later to kind of expand on that.
Yep.
But HBCUs being threatened, unfortunately, is nothing new. It happens all the time, TR. And most
That's
of the
true
time,
too. Yeah.
they are baseless threats. But at the end of the day, if we have this community that we claim that we have, then we got to do a better job of protecting it. Because I just said earlier, the police can't be everywhere all the time and available at every single moment. So if they can't do it, we got to do it.
Yep.
Up the security, man. Let's get some more resources to these places. I do think DL's asking a fair question, but I also think he's falling into a false narrative because HBCUs get threats all the time. A lot of people made assumptions about the shooter, which we'll talk. Well, I'm not gonna say shooter because we're on YouTube. The person responsible, but a lot of people made assumptions and they just ran with a lot of different narratives before the facts even came in. Um, that's how I see it right now. I think it's a fair question to ask, what do HBCUs have to do with this? Because the answer is nothing, which is all the
Yeah.
more reason why you shouldn't be emotionally invested in any of this stuff. But a lot of people chose to do that anyway.
Right. They chose to because they wanted to make content off of it. They wanted to most of those people didn't even go to HBCUs. And we don't know I don't know if you remember this, but this was a little bit after the election. There was a text message that was sent out to like a bunch of it was sent to mainly black people. And then people started to like get up in arms, like, oh my God, they're talking about going back to slavery, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you remember that, MC.
Yeah.
But it was right after the election. And then people were like, see, this is what we were talking about. Like, first of all, so you're telling me that the conservatives or Republicans, they got access to a database of only black people, and they sent out this hoaxes text message to everyone to tell them that slavery is coming back. So who would do that? Why would they do that? And why would they have access to that type of information? Who does have access to that information, who needs to manufacture racism is the Democrats. They tend to do stuff like this. And we have a number of cases where people said there was a case where a guy said he was his boss was being racist towards him. So this is a black guy saying this white guy was being racist towards him. And then what ended up happening, they found out that he used AI to doctor this guy's voice, which is pretty scary with AI. Doctored this guy's voice and to claim that he was being racist towards this employee. That guy got arrested. So, if he didn't, I don't know how they figured it out, but the guy was arrested, and hopefully the person that he was claiming that was being racist, he didn't lose his job, and they had a chance to kind of look through things though. But yeah, we're living in a weird time where people will say, someone called in a hoax, and they're worried about it. They're thinking that this is white people doing it. I was like, you don't know who did it. That could have been anybody. We have swatting problems, and they can never figure out who did it.
Look, they know, and by them I mean liberals. They know that we are the emotional group of people.
Oh yeah,
They
when
know
you
that we
self-correct,
operate
yeah,
on fear and the unknown, right?
yeah. Brando
So
remembers it.
yeah, they play into that, and they know that we'll react based on that. But I think there's a small awakening happening, particularly with the black men, and they don't really care about that much stuff as that like they used to. But it's still very effective, Tr.
Right.
Like Project 2025 was the big thing. And one of the things they said about that was they were going to bring slavery back, and they were going to completely remove Black history from the classrooms. There's been some changes to the curriculums, but as far as I know, hasn't been completely removed anywhere. Hell, my daughter's school in Arizona learns about Malcolm X, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, true facts.
On Facebook or social media. Social media, there are 41.3 million black people in this country. All of them were talking like that. And there are only roughly 285,000 people that attend HBCUs, and only 73% of them are black. So is it that you know exactly who it was, or is it that any black person will do? The truth of the matter is that in this country, no matter what happens, no matter who does it, America will find a way to point the finger at black people who are
This guy is
thousands of miles
rich.
away. I don't know if there. I'm pretty sure there's not an HBCU
Hey,
in
pause
all
it,
of
TR.
Utah.
Anybody who talks like this to young black children, I'm telling y'all right now, they're speaking death into your children.
Yeah.
They're telling your children, no matter what you do, you're always going to be worthless, you're always going to be wrong, and you're always going to be who everybody points the finger at for their problems. So you are killing your kids' confidence before they can even fully develop it when you talk to them with points like this.
Conditioning them to be a victim.
Can't do it no more, man. Nobody has time for this victims. That brings me to the video I just dropped in the private chat, TR. After you get done playing this, we're gonna play it real quick. It's real quick.
Yeah.
But now, because a white guy kills another white guy thousands of miles away.
See, and this is the other thing too, and we'll get into this later, but it wasn't just a white guy killing a white guy. Like there's more to this, that you have to listen to the way that they deliver this message, because they want to like trivialize it to like it was just a white guy deleting another white guy. No, it's never been like that. The majority of the time, the way politics is nowadays, you got the progressives, you got the liberals, you got extremists, and I get it, they're on both sides though. But lately, we have been seeing this come from on the left side for the majority of the stuff. And if you're looking for something on the right, you got to go a few years back when shit was really wilding out. Nowadays, that stuff is not happening on the right side. That is coming from the left. And the majority of the time, it's the white people that they claim that are on their side. So do you want to be in bed with these people? Because that's what I don't understand with black people is that if these people are on your side and they're just deleting people and rioting and funny thing is I don't see them getting arrested too, so that's a whole nother conversation. But they're doing all these things, and you're saying that hey, these are just white people doing stuff. No, they're in your voting block. These are the people that you claim that did the things to Charlie Kirk. They're on your side. All the rainbow and all that stuff, they're on your side doing all this types of stuff. So when he tries to do this stuff and other people do this, they're having a very disingenuous conversation.
And then before, and I'll say it again, man, you got to start looking at people by how they act and what they do and not what they say. And when you take on that mentality, you'll very quickly find out that there are scumbags in every segment of people that you can think
Sure.
of. Like these and this is my issue with the pro-black stuff, because they'll sit back and they will tell you that everything is all good over here, but they don't talk about how we mistreat each other internally, because quote unquote that shouldn't be public business. And it's
Right.
like, dog, just surround me with good people, man. Surround me with people that are logical and don't jump to conclusions when they hear a statement being made without hearing out the full statement. I cannot tell you how many people were ready to crash out over this guy that they never even heard of until he was killed. Like this
Yeah.
is nuts.
No, they start listening to the clips. It's the same thing that they did with Kevin Samuels. They just heard the clips, but not the entire clip. It's like, all right, y'all are still on that dumbness, but
It's ironic you mentioned KSTR, because after he passed, he has more than 2 million subscribers now. And
yeah,
he had just hit 1 million when he passed away. So in death, his
doubled.
legacy lives on.
Yeah, that's a
Like
good
this
point
younger
too.
man, I had a 14-year-old tell me he had just heard about Kevin Samuels last month. And he's been rocking with him ever since. 14 years old.
Yeah,
And who's to say, like, Charlie Kirk is getting so much attention right now? What's to stop him from getting that same energy?
yeah. We may not have time to play the video with his wife, but it sounds like they're just going to pick off where Charlie Kirk left at. So I hope they continue pushing the message.
HBCU is under attack, and people will find a way to justify it.
I don't think we justified it either. I'm pretty sure we didn't.
Man, I don't think I'm certainly not just
in America in the past 10 years? He replied, counting or not counting gang violence. Then pop, he was about to shift the blame for mass shootings on us. And now for some reason, 8 historically black colleges and universities are under threat. Campus lockdowns and all. All this because Charlie got your scapegoat. You really don't even deserve to live in our shadows.
To eulogize means to speak well of. And I wonder what Charlie Kirk would say about Charlie Kirk, because his death stood in stark contrast to the way he lived and the things he believed and the things he espoused. He often talked about black criminality. He often talked about the high crime rates among black people. He spent his life saying that black people basically were inferior and they were superior. Apparently, he's never met a qualified black person that didn't earn it through merit.
So Charlie Kirk has black people on his staff, though, but I guess those black people don't matter. He's worked with plenty of black people as well too. Let's see what Brando says. Yeah. The thing with D.L. Hughley, he's gonna. Oh crap, MC, you got to take over. I gotta plug my computer in. Sorry, I'll be right back.
While TR irons all of that stuff out real quick. So DEI for us, right? We were essentially, they took DEI and they associated with the black people. Meanwhile, we weren't even the ones who were primarily benefiting from it. White women benefited from DEI more than we ever did. I don't know why that's never talked about, but for some reason, when DEI is mentioned, it's tied to us. And later on today, we're going to try to break down some of the conversations that Charlie Kirk had that got misconstrued and people didn't. Because what happens is when he makes a point, he'll make his point first and then he'll go back and substantiate it later. But people will hear the point and they're so outraged by it that they don't even want to hear the substantiation piece. So we'll dig in a little bit more with that later. And I see TR's back going now.
Yeah, they're already enraged. And this is the problem with the TikToks, the Instagrams. Like they don't give because those platforms allow only like 30 seconds or up to a minute. I mean, before people would only see like, see, I told you this guy is racist, and it's still like, y'all still don't know who he was. And he said one thing, but there's a lot of people that say a lot of things, and you don't get bent out of shape over that. You just say, well, Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, whatever, don't care. But I feel like a lot of people, you have to like do work to have Charlie Kirk show up in your radar, show up in your algorithm. And so it's kind of interesting to see D.L. Hughley. I don't know if he's even talked about Charlie Kirk prior to this, prior to what happened to him. But it's just crazy. He's just going down the same playbook that a lot of Democrats have. He's definitely a Democratic shill, because no matter what happens with the Democrats, He always tried to just blame everything on blame that the whole white supremacy and Trump this, Trump that. He always goes to that part of the book to explain why Black people are where they're at, or these Black issues aren't really our issues, or doesn't even talk about gang violence. Like there's a lot of things that he'll skip over and just focus directly on Charlie Kirk or Trump, because he knows that's what gets him clicks.
Yeah, and again, the problem is when we do, it's the boy who cries wolf. If everything is racist and everything is the end of the world for us, it weakens it for people that are really dealing with stuff like this.
Yeah.
I don't care how people feel about me if they think I'm qualified for the job or not, because at the end of the day, I'm going to outwork you, and I'm going to show the people that I know what I'm doing. Real racism is Emmett Till and Fred Hampton's grave sites get shot up every year, right? Right around the anniversary of on their birthdays, on the anniversaries of their deaths. That's like real stuff right there. This right here is just
hold up.
getting their feelings.
What?
Yep. Every year, Emmett Till, the landmark in Mississippi,
yeah,
and Fred Hampton's grave sites get shot up on the anniversaries of their death. Or
by
their birth.
whom?
Nobody seems to know. We can speculate, but nobody knows.
I don't understand why Emmett Till's gravesite would get shot up.
That's what I'm saying to you. These types of conversations should be saved for stuff like that. Not somebody thinking that all Black people are DEI hires. Look, you got the job, so go in there and prove that you deserve the job. That's all I'm trying to say. 9 times out of 10, these people that's complaining about racism, they're overstating it, and they're weakening it for people that are really dealing with it, which is probably more rare than we want to admit.
Yeah.
All set aside as a DEI. He spent his life talking about empathy and how it was necessary. He spent his life talking about the necessity of people dying for the preservation of an amendment, a piece of paper. He spent his life categorizing people and percentage people and slanting things to present a certain aspect of things. He died forwarding the notion that it's Black people who are responsible for gun death. His last words were gang violence, but he wasn't shot. He wasn't shot. We know it was because we know who it wasn't. First off, Charlie Kirk was not assassinated. He was shot. The congressmen in Minnesota, they were assassinated.
Just to actually, we're done with him anyways.
I can make the case that this will classify as an assassination, and I'll tell you why. Because let me tell you why Charlie Kirk taking the L is a huge loss for the Republicans. He was kind of one of the initiators of let's go to these college campuses, let's talk to these young people and have them understand conservatism. So while the Dems were being condescending towards podcasts and doing campus tours and things like that, people like him and Candace Owens and Officer Tatum, they were going to these campuses, they were letting people get off their grievances, and they were responding with logical points. Do you know of any Dems who do that?
None.
I would make the case that why this is so big of a deal for the Republicans is because Charlie Kirk convinced a lot of people to become conservative and vote red. So for them, it's a huge loss. That's the only reason why I would make that case, because I do believe he was politically impactful, and you have to consider stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. He's only saying that just again for the clicks for his crowd. He's always gonna be like this. Him and Plies definitely men that it's just unfortunate, because what they tried to convince men to vote for Kamala Harris, even though that was against the best interests of the Black community, because Kamala Harris, essentially Kamala Harris was not doing anything for the Black Americans. If you need her to do something for you, she was not going to be the person to do it for you unless you were like Asian American. That was it. That's the only community of people, and who-ish. But those are only two communities that she cared about from what she had put out prior to the election, or getting back into the the election after Biden had stepped down. So D.L. Hughley, it's just unfortunate because I enjoyed the movies he was in, his comedy stand-ups, but he's gone way too far off the reservation, as well as some other people that we probably revered, that we could listen to him and have a conversation, But nowadays it's impossible to do anything like that. And he's being disingenuous. He's just being dishonest about this. Brando, what's interesting is that Candace and Tatum would often do their events at HBCUs. You know what? I did not know that actually. Did you know that, MC?
I know they've been to Howard and a couple other places, and ironically, TR, Howard and a couple of other HBCUs, if I recall, at least within the last 5 years, they had Black Republican groups up there, and then their numbers were growing in popularity.
Yeah. So if the race warriors have to bring up race, that would have been a great point to highlight too. So yeah, I didn't know that. Usually whatever's an algorithm, but I would definitely love to. I'm gonna have to go back to Tatum and Candace. Well, Candace is tripping a little bit, but Officer Tatum, I can definitely. Candace is tripping with the whole Israel thing, so but I can get on board with Officer Tatum because I've seen his conversation, but I didn't know they both went to HBCU to have those open conversations. So that's some good insight there.
Yeah, I think they started to get blackballed toward the end. Before you transition to your next video, TR, I want to talk about this victim thing real quick. Play that video I dropped in the private chat. It's only a minute 15.
Oh, yeah, Aaron Magruder. All right, let's share.
I really want you guys to understand that time is running out. And a lot of Black people say that, but for real. Part of why the civil rights movement has been so successful, and part of why those who have come after in terms of our leadership have been able to maintain a presence, is that Black people have always had a certain amount of moral currency that we have been using. And let me be the first to tell you, that's used up. White America has been watching us act like fools for a long enough time where any sympathy they may have had to our plight is completely gone. You're approaching a country that, forget hating Black people and not hating Black people, they just don't care. You can be talking about affirmative action, they can be like, I don't care. It literally is of no importance to me. I don't care about slavery. I don't care about segregation. I don't care about you. I don't care how many of you all go to jail. I don't care at all because I'm broke.
Yeah.
You can't be the proud, noble fighter when every single time someone sees a person that looks like you on television, they're acting like a damn fool. How would they know? How would they know you're not a damn fool? They're gonna talk to you? Yeah, right.
So the reason why I shared that video, and I'm really hoping y'all peep game on this, nobody's going to care about your struggles more than you. That's number one. And number two, if you're always going around blaming everything on racism and everybody's against you and everything's anti-Black, if the person who's not Black sitting next to you is just as hungry and striving to have the same goals as you and they have the similar struggles, they're going to be focused on what's in their bubble. They got to figure out where their next check is coming from, how they're going to feed their kids the next week, because most people in this country live check to check and have the exact same struggles. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, when you get on these soapboxes and you blame everything on racism, you're talking to somebody who more than likely is living check to check and is somewhat broke and their stomach hurts. And guess what? When your stomach hurts, they don't care about nothing except how to satisfy that hunger in their stomach.
Yeah, and a lot of those people, they're supposed to care about you, or they say they care about you. They don't live in those neighborhoods. As soon as they get bussed into your community to protest, they're going back to their communities. They don't want you living near them, but they will support you from afar. So, yeah, I think Aaron Magruder hit it on the nail. Like, hey, I'm broke too, or I mean, at least in my example, I was talking about the elitists. But yeah, a lot of them saying they're broke and they don't got time to feel sorry for you and your plight. So
basically, I'm gonna sum this up in one quick sentence: save yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you. Get up and save yourself.
Yeah.